Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation. My name is Tanay Ol, and I'm an anchor at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry veterans to come together to share their knowledge, ideas, thoughts, and best practices with one another, as well as with upcoming industry leaders. In a nutshell, we attempt to encapsulate the multi-decadal learnings of all our industry stalwarts. We hope that by conducting these FaceTime with Leader interviews, we can bring together a global community of eminent personalities. By bringing together such visionaries on one platform, we hope to play a part in inspiring the lives of other leaders. Great learnings from great leaders undoubtedly assist everyone as they help us to identify, nurture, and work on trade secrets that have already proven a success formula for so many. And this is what we aim for with these sessions by making them a gathering of industry stalwarts and a knowledge sharing community. We have one such industry giant on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Mr. Deepak Agrawal. We welcome you on the show, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Tanay.
He is a highly experienced professional with more than 3 decades of extensive involvement in the infrastructure and construction sector. As a chief executive officer handling top management roles with leading organizations, he has led strategic initiatives in various sectors, including PPP, BOT, HAM, EPC, and O&M, showcasing expertise in highway asset health build-up, contract management, merger and acquisition, and corporate governance. Since 2019, he has been designated as the Chief Executive Officer at Swarna Tollway Private Limited, directly reporting to the distinguished Macquarie Board of Directors. Appointed as a whole-time director by Macquarie in January 2022, he oversaw strategic operations while maintaining his CEO role. He has not only played vital roles in the acquisition of Swarna Tollway Private Limited by KKR Group through HIT Invit in January 2024, but has also continued spearheading the conglomerate as CEO. He has played pivotal roles in transitioning ownership, settling claims with NHAI, and orchestrating a divestment transaction worth over 30 billion rupees. Under his leadership, the company has achieved significant milestones, including a 10% reduction in OPEX, settlement of claims under dispute, ISO certificates, and a GRESB score of 90. So, Mr. Agarwal, could you walk us through your journey in the infrastructure construction industry, highlighting key roles and accomplishments?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Tanay, for providing this platform. It's my honor to be part of this meeting. You have very well articulated my introduction. So let me begin first with my educational qualifications. So I completed my BTech in 1991 in civil engineering from MS University of Baroda. And later in 2030, I also completed advanced programming strategy for leaders from IIM Lucknow under executive education. So I started my career in 1991 as a graduate engineer trainee with SR Group of companies in construction of steel plant at Hazira, Surat. So this was basically a greenfield project with a contract value of INR 50 billion. So you can imagine in 91, such a large size of project, I got an opportunity 50 billion to start my career. And I was fortunate enough to work closely with the promoters, Ruyas, and I was managing diverse functions from project initiation to commissioning. So I directly handled more than 1,000 workmen each day during starting of my career. So that was my stint with SR. In 1995, I joined Larsen & Toubro Limited, ECC division, that is their construction division. And as part of, and I was part of 4 major projects in various functions, including execution, planning, and project management. So my first project was Ispat Steel Plant construction at Dolvi, Raigad district, Maharashtra. So there I was there in execution of the steel plant. My second project was in Jamnagar. So that was world's largest refinery being constructed by Jamnagar. So that was also a very large project of more than 200 billion rupees. So I was part of the planning team there, and I worked closely with Bechtel. So Bechtel was the leading engineering company who was doing the detailed design, engineering, and project management for this project. So this project was completed in less than 2 years by L&T. So L&T was one of the major contractors, not the only contractor. More than 50% contract was with L&T. The period included major cyclone in 1998. There was a major cyclone in Jamnagar with a wind speed of more than 195 kilometers per hour, which killed around 1,000 people in Gujarat. So we had weathered all these things and still we could complete the project well before the time. And then later I was posted to Bharuch in Gujarat. So I was in charge for construction of 5-kilometer approach highway to Narmada Bridge, Bharuch on NH8. So NH8 is one of the busiest highway part of Delhi-Mumbai corridor. Involving work was mainly involving 15 to 20 meters of high embankment filling there in the 5 kilometers approach road. And then later I was promoted as a planning in charge for Ahmedabad-Mehsana Road project. So this project was completed 8 months ahead of schedule. So with meticulous planning and execution. So there we saved more than 10% of the project cost by value engineering and project management techniques. So additionally, I was also in charge for implementation of ERP. That was the first time L&T had taken a pilot project for implementation of ERP in the year 2000. So that successful implementation of ERP was one of the major milestones in the project, with which we could get these savings and project schedule monitoring. So my tenure with L&T was my biggest learnings in life for implementation of various systems and application of planning, budgeting, costing, and value engineering in a project. So then in 2002, I joined FCONS. So FCONS Infrastructure Limited is part of Shapoorji Pallonji Group. So my first project was LNG Jetty. That was at Surat. So Hazira. So there I joined as a Primavera planning expert. So since the client was a multinational company, Royal Dutch Shell Group, so they needed an expert who knew Primavera. So that's why I was posted there. So I did the initial planning for the project there. Later, based on my experience in highways, I was moved as a planning manager for Chennai Kanchipuram Road project. So there I did the planning for the project and I was successful in getting extension of time claims and other claims from NHAI. In 2004, I joined Hindustan Construction Company, HCC Limited, as a contracts manager at their corporate office in Mumbai for a short duration, and then later moved to their project, which is Allahabad Bypass Road project. So there I got the first exposure to concrete pavement. So I prepared the project budget there and the contract appreciation document. So I was successful in getting various claims for the company from NHAI there. So in 2005, later in 2005, I joined GMR Group corporate office. So that time the corporate office was in Bangalore. So as head of BOT assets division in their roads division, and I was reporting to their managing director for highways. So basically I was coordinating 2 of their road assets, one in Andhra Pradesh and one in Tamil Nadu. So, and also their under construction road assets, also I was foreseeing. So achievements include mainly amicable settlement of all claims with the EPC contractor, the Malaysian company UEDI. So there were a lot of open claims which I could get amicably resolved with them. Then there were a lot of construction defects when I joined the company in one of the projects in Andhra Pradesh, Tuni to Anakapalli near Vishakhapatnam. So there I carried out the major repairs in concrete pavement in a record time. After NHAI, the client had given notice for material default. So I interacted with the engineer and the NHAI, got them convinced, got the necessary repair works. So use some innovative ways of repair techniques which were used for first time in India on concrete pavements on national highways. So in 2008, I joined John Ding Investments, and I was reporting to their directors in UK. So I was their first employee in India, started their business in India, established the company, and developed a strategy for bidding. So there we bid for numerous projects and were successful in getting one project in Maharashtra, which was about 1,450 crores under BOT toll model. But as you are aware, in 2008-9, there was worldwide recession, and most of the infra companies, they were largely affected due to this. And the interest rate scenario was such that they were rising interest rates, and these highway projects and infrastructure projects are mostly capital intensive. So due to this, the companies were having large debt and were invested a lot of money in infrastructure, and especially BOT kind of model where you invest initially and then later you get returns over a longer period of time. So you have to pay a large amount of interest to the banks. And with the rising interest rate, it is difficult for the companies to repay the debt. So only major companies who had a diversified portfolio and strong corporate governance could survive during that period. So a lot of companies, promoter-based companies with bad corporate governance and not good system, they could not survive during that duration. So during this 2009 to 2014, the period was a little tough for me as well because I worked with a lot of promoter companies there. So I played a strategic roles at corporate office of various promoter-driven organizations, which included mainly Ritwik Projects Limited and IVRCL Limited. So I was business head for transportation business unit and reporting to the managing director or the promoters of the company. So I was successful in developing strategies for the company, successful in getting projects, and later I was monitoring about 25 projects, mainly in highways and railway sector. But as I mentioned, the companies had accumulated high debts and there were a lot of failures in this organization. So repayment was a challenge, and this was coupled with unhealthy practices of corporate governance by the promoters, so leading to the failures of these organizations. So classic example of IVRCL, so this went into NCLT. So that was the thing. So in 2000, I utilized this opportunity meanwhile to complete higher education from IIM Lucknow under executive education in the field of advanced program in strategy for leaders in 2013. So this really helped me in upgrading my skills further, so that I was more prepared for future journey. So in 2015, I joined KMC Constructions Limited at their corporate office in Hyderabad as Vice President, Project Planning, Monitoring and Contract Cell, and business head for their BOT projects. So I was reporting to the promoter managing director. So during my tenure of around 4.5 years, I brought a complete turnaround in the company, and this transformed my career to new heights as a strategic leader. So the financial condition when I joined this company was very critical, and most of their projects were stalled. However, the positive thing was that the promoters were from IIT background and had higher education from US, and they were willing to bring some changes in the organization, and they were open to listen to professionals like me. So then after joining the organization for a couple of months, I had a detailed discussion and review of the existing issues with the promoters, key personnel, customers, and other stakeholders. So accordingly, I developed this strategy for the company to recommence the stalled projects. So first of all, main first initiative was refinancing. So since the company was having very high debts, the banks were not willing to give additional debt, and company was in a cash-22 situation. So they were neither able to invest money in the projects, neither they were getting any revenue. And they were unable to repay the debts. So, with the help of contract, some conditions, uh, I approached the Ministry and National Highway Authority of India and asked for certain relaxation in contract conditions, uh, wherein the entire project, one of the major project was in Andhra Pradesh, which was from Kadapa to Kurnool. So around 190 kilometers high of national highway, four laning. So there it had four toll plazas. So two toll plazas, around 50% of the stretch was almost complete and it was tolled. But there was no condition in the contract that we could collect partial toll for two toll plazas. Only once the project is 100% complete, you can start the toll collection. So since there were certain issues from NHAI in the starting of the project for delay in land acquisition and environmental clearances, so based on that delay, we approached NHAI that though the land has now been handed over later, but till the time the 2-3 precious years in the starting have delayed. So due to that, the debt which they had taken from the bank, they could not effectively utilize, and a lot of interest burden is coming on that. So we requested for giving partial COD, partial commercial operation date for the 50% of the stretch, which was almost complete. So with great persuasion, NHA gave approval, and based on that approval, we had already approached financing companies. So from L&T debt division financing, we got additional depth of around 20 crores. So that was a 1,000+ crore project. So some around 15 to 20 crore work was balanced in 50% of the stretch. So we could get that additional 20 crores depth for kickstarting the project. And we completed the two toll plazas, 50% of the stretch, and we started the toll collection. So with that, we could get daily toll collection of around 40 lakhs per day. So with that toll collection, we could infuse further money into the project, and also partial repayment to the banks also we restarted, so that banks get confidence. And also parallelly, we were looking for divestment of the project. Since it was a BOT project, we could, as per the NHAI new conditions at that time, we were allowed to divest to foreign investors. So a lot of foreign investors were looking for opportunities coming into India, especially after this Modi government had come, and a lot of initiatives were taken by this new government also that time. So we had discussions with Cube Highways, which is promoted by I Squared Capital, and then with Brookfield. So finally, we were successful in getting a deal with Brookfield for divestment of our assets. So generally, the assets, such kind of assets are acquired after the construction is over, because there the risk will be minimal. So in this case, we requested Brookfield that if they could partially fund us during the construction itself, so that we could facilitate the completion of the construction. So they agreed for that, and for the entire divestment amount, whatever they had to give, some partial amount they kept on funding for the balance project completion. So with that help, we had a proper agreement with Brookfield, and we could complete 100% of the project, and then after 100% completion, they had fully taken over the project and gave the balance amount. So that way we could complete this set. Then second major initiative was there were a lot of disputes arised out of the project, and due to that, lot of claims and disputes, lot of money was blocked due to that in the project. So basically, due to the defaults of NHAI, the claims were there. So all these claims with the new Arbitration and Conciliation Act amendment in 2015, the arbitration process was more conducive. So we went for arbitration, and uh, I could get arbitration award of 1,250 crores for the company. So that also NHAI challenged those arbitration in the court, but still NHAI finally agreed to pay 750 crores out of as a settlement of the amount. So finally we could get 750 crores from that project, which helped in repayment of the debt to the banks. So this was part of one of the assets. Then in one of the other assets where I was also coordinating around 20 projects, where I was mainly involved in the project planning and contract management. So one of the projects was in Northeast. So there I did a value engineering since it was a EPC project. In the project starting, the project was not viable. So there the KMC had bid this project and they were second highest, and the difference between L1 and L2 was around 90 to 100 crores, and they had made some mistake in bidding, and they could not they were facing a loss of 90 to 100 crores in the project, and that's why they could not kickstart the project. So I brought in some value engineering and did an innovative design. So first time we used this semi-rigid kind of pavement in the highway there. So which is a mix of soil and cement, which has been so we have substituted aggregate with soil and cement and some portion of aggregate, thereby reducing the quantity of aggregate drastically. Because aggregate, it was the project being in Northeast in Tripura, the aggregate was at a very far away distance. It was from Assam, they had to bring the aggregates. So that took almost 8 to 10 hours for transportation of aggregate, and that cost was very high since the quantity of aggregates was very high. So that way got this kind of value engineering, and that also I took support from CRRI because that is the Central Road Research Institute. It's a government organization. So when we take support of CRRI, the getting government approvals itself will becomes easy because finally the Ministry of Road Transport we have to take approvals. So there so they will honor CRRI reports. So that's how I got that approvals. Then also I formulated strategy for bidding. So actually, since KMC had a very high qualifications for highway projects, but they could not get much value of bank guarantees, and they were facing this financial crisis. So we tied up certain joint ventures where the joint venture partner was interested to do the work and had capability, but did not have the technical qualification, or since they had not done enough such projects in the past. So we tied up with such companies as joint venture, and the KMC had taken certain fixed margin, say around 5% or 7% or like that fixed margin from the joint venture partner, and then allowed the joint venture partner to do the work, take up the work after the project is awarded. So with that, having a escrow mechanism where the amount comes from the client, and after the margin money is kept, balance amount is passed to the joint venture partner. And we are also overseeing that project, so that since the name of KMC is involved in the project, its reputation was at stake. So we were also overseeing the project management, but involvement was comparatively less. So such projects, we could get some steady revenue every month. So with that, the company was not able to pay salaries to their employees. So that improved the cash flow of the company, and they could they could pay the at least the salaries to their employees, and some other overhead expenses of the company could be met. Other initiatives were in HR. So the HR department also was not very strong, and a lot of employees were leaving the organization. So we needed to motivate the employees and do certain trainings and get the employees involved in some get-togethers, and make them feel part of the team, motivate them. So that initiative was taken by me. So that way we could retain the employees. I took a lot of freshers from NICMAR. NICMAR is a leading institute in project management. So trained them. So that way we had some difference in the organization culture. Then other main initiative which I took in the company was optimizing the cost and resources. So overall, whatever the projects which were running, so how with better project management, using all the risk management techniques and taking necessary corrective actions, we could optimize some cost and the resource utilization. Next initiative was mainly developing good relationships with the clients, customers, including NHAI, the independent engineer, or the Ministry of Road Transport, lenders, and other stakeholders. So, and understanding their requirement and giving them the assurance that yes, we are making efforts and we are coming out of the situation. So building their confidence was very much necessary, including the local public, which were also affected due to the project. So these were my key achievements in the 4.5 years in KMC Constructions. In 2019, I joined the current organization, which is Swarna Tollway Private Limited. So Swarna Tollway as CEO, this is actually an investee company of Macquarie. So Macquarie Infrastructure and Real Assets is a worldwide leading investor in assets, various assets, infrastructure assets. So they have 100% holding in this project. So this project involves two projects in Andhra Pradesh. One is near Vijayawada and one is from Nellore to Chennai. So this is actually an operational asset where the project was already completed and there is a steady revenue coming out of this project. In 2022, I was elevated as whole-time director in this company, along with my role as CEO. So here in 2019, when I was taken, there were various issues in the company which were unresolved for a very long time. And they had a future planning for divestment of this project in next 2-3 years. So that's why they wanted a CEO to come to the board and make this asset more attractive and get a very good divestment value. And with that intention, they had taken me into this company. So some of my major achievements in this project were first thing was there were a lot of claims which were there. So this project was awarded in year 2001. So it has a concession period of 30 years. So up till 2031. So already 19 years of the contract period was over. But there were certain claims and disputes between both the parties, which were pending since 2001. So which remain unresolved, and there were a lot of correspondence and demands from NHAI for some damages, some claims from the concessionaire, Swarna Tollway also. So a lot of these issues were open and a lot of pressure from NHAI that why we are not paying the damages, though the damages were not there as per our view. So for these claims, I took initiative and first they went into arbitration, but then NHAI told no, we can sit down and solve these amicably. So then we withdrew our arbitration and with my efforts, I could get these claims resolved with no cost to each party because there were claims from either parties. So in 2022, these claims were settled with a 0-0 impact on either party. And this made the asset very attractive for divestment because earlier there were damages of more than 100 crores which were against the company. And the investors, prospective investors suspected that it could be much more than this also. So they took a lot of risk when they were pursuing this asset. So with this clean agreement in 2022, the asset was complete clean with a clean slate, and so there was no claims from either party. So then second was this divestment. So this Swarna Tollway, along with one project in Gujarat, one asset, two assets are there in Gujarat under GRICL, Gujarat Road Infrastructure Corporation Limited. So that comprises of Vadodara Halol and Ahmedabad Mehsana Road project. So all Swarna Tollway and GRICL both were under divestment as a bundle. So there the company could get a very good divestment value of 3,000 crores. So initially the deal was done with Adani, but because of the Hindenburg issue, Adani, after making an in-principle agreement, they backed out and the deal was cancelled. So then later we had a deal with KKR Group, so which is the current company which has already acquired. So that we could close the deal in January 2024. And they got a very good value of more than 3,000 crores through this divestment. So which was very beneficial for Macquarie, and they rewarded me for that. So that was because I was involved in complete due diligence from the starting of the project, entire M&A transaction process. So I have a very good experience of M&A transaction in KMC as well as with current company Swarna Tollway, where both places I was involved in this divestment transaction. My next main achievement here was getting a GRESB score of 90 out of 100. So GRESB is actually a global platform for ESG compliances. So now with this growing trend of ESG, all the investors look for very high score of ESG. So this there were a lot of things, initiatives, sustainability initiatives which I took in the company. Lot of other initiatives I took in the company, net zero carbon footprint initiatives. So with these all initiatives, a lot of CSR initiatives I have taken in the company. So all with these initiatives and with good corporate governance practices, we could get very high score in GRESB. And our company was ranked as number 3 in worldwide in this kind of road assets with such a high score. My next major achievement here was implementation of compliance tool. So there are a lot of compliances, regulatory compliances from SEBI or income tax or contractual compliances or other project contract compliances in the project. So it is very difficult to keep track of all these compliances, and they keep on getting updated, legal compliances. So it is very difficult that whether we have actually fulfilled all these compliances. So for that, we developed this online compliance tool with help of E&Y. So with that, we could track all the compliances, and we had given right to each of the user. So for example, finance department, so CFO was given the right for all financing compliances, and he will further delegate it to his team wherever is there. So like that, company secretary will have certain rights of compliances, HR department will have compliances. So like that, all project management, project heads, so all people, and they may also further delegate, and all that compliances will come together, compiled by the company secretary, and then they, in the board meeting, he will confirm that what compliances are done, not done. And so that way it helped the company. Wherever we are lacking in the compliances, we could further upgrade that. So next was implementation of ISO. So ISO 14,000 and 45,000 we had implemented. So both are relating to ESG, environment, health and safety. So that also helped the company improving the systems and processes. Our next major achievement was 10% saving in OPEX. So generally, you look for a long-term scenario in a life cycle cost. So generally in such road assets, you have a long concession period. So if you do some work which will last for a longer time, you use better technology, better materials. With help of that, we can get a better life cycle cost. Maybe initially some cost may be higher, but over a period of next 3 years, 4 years, the maintenance cost may reduce. So like that, use certain techniques, optimization of manpower, lot of digitization in the project. So with that help, we could get these savings in OPEX. Other major issue in the project was union. So there were unions found by old employees. Since this project, as I mentioned, was for last 19 years. So there were certain employees which were more than 15, 16 years in the company, and especially they were working at a very low level as a toll collector at the site. So they were basically governed by the minimum wages and a lower level employees. So they had formed the union, and they were making unreasonable demands, and they were approaching our customer and making some false allegations on the company, trying to defame us, so, approaching lot of politicians. So, and we got numerous letters from the Prime Minister's office, from various government authorities, asking them what is their problem, please look into it, why you are not resolving. So all these, they were making some false claims and allegations on the company. So that was becoming a really big nuisance. And to counter that, I took an initiative and filed a criminal case against this company, against this union, so defamation case. And with that, we could counter them, and then they came for a discussion, and we could settle. I mean, nothing was there to settle. So basically, they were further calmed down, and they stopped doing their such activities. So another major achievement was regarding insurance. So there was some floods in year 2016. So for which the repairs were done partially, and then later the client took an initiative that they will further modify the some project highway, because the floods were more than 100 years, once in a lifetime of more than 100 years. So due to that, they had to raise the road level, and the cost of that work was around, which was as per contract, it was only 20 crores work, but which we had to restore it. But they modified the design and made an elevated highway there. So which for 5 kilometers of highway, which costed 130 crores. So they outsourced it to a different agency. So insurance company did not honor our claim for that, because we had made lot of efforts in diverting the road and other things, and they didn't give us any money for that, since we have not done the reinstatement. So for that, we fought for that in consumer court, and we got an award of 25 crores in the district consumer court. So such award for a district consumer court getting 25 crores is a big amount. That also we fought, and I was successful in getting that award. And then I took a lot of initiatives for employee engagement in HR, strengthening the HR team. Some CSR initiatives I have taken. So, for example, She Bio Toilet, then providing lighting in nearby villages in the project area, providing education to the rural people. So like that, lot of initiatives I have taken under CSR. So developing a good relationship with the local stakeholders and the general public at large. Then I strengthen the process and systems in the organization. So these all finally these all helped in getting a very good divestment value. So that was one of my major achievements in this last company.
So how is your experience as an investor, developer, contractor, and in various other capacities shaped your approach to leadership in the industry?
Yeah, I started my career with leading construction companies, including SR, L&T, HCC, and Afcons. So these companies are leaders in field of construction and EPC, which has laid a very strong foundation for me with core competencies in project management, including execution, planning, monitoring, costing, contract, and risk management. So later in my tenure, working as a developer and investor, the utilization of my skills and experience of working as a contractor has been very fruitful. So you already have the insights of the challenges which are being faced by the contractors, which really helps in risk management and taking necessary proactive actions rather than being reactive.
What advice would you give to our viewers today who are future leaders of the corporate world?
Yeah, so I would advise the young generation to focus on collaborative working for achieving the common goals in a transparent manner. So you have to work very closely with all the stakeholders, including clients, consultants, lenders, public, environment, related employees, etc. So, for example, when you do a project planning, so generally client does some project planning. As a contractor, you are doing some project planning. So there is no synergy in between. So there are certain requirements of clients and which we have to fulfill. Without that, we cannot do the progress. The client also is also dependent on the contractor for certain things. So if you work in a collaborative way on a same platform, so that will yield better results. Generally, it's difficult for working closely with the government clients because they have their own egos, but you have to sit down and take initiative and get these things done.
Yeah.
Second is you use these lean construction techniques. So lean construction is the new techniques where we identify value from the customer points of view, define the value stream, uh, allocate the resources effectively, eliminate the waste or the delays. So minimizing the waste or waiting period, inventory, etc. Work process flow, planning and scheduling, continuous improvement and taking corrective action at the right time while doing the project. So these are some things which would help them for development.
So how do you ensure operational efficiency and sustainability within the organization, particularly in the context of reducing OPEX and achieving environmental targets?
Yeah. So operational efficiency we can improve by this lean construction management techniques which I explained. Risk management is very important. Then value engineering, then reducing the life cycle cost. As I mentioned, these projects generally even EPC contracts nowadays will have a 4, 5 years, 6 years maintenance period. Earlier they used to have 1 or 2 years defect liability period. So this life cycle cost by using of latest materials and technology has become very important. Then for environmental targets, you have this, it may be social ESG or environmental ESG, basically. So social ESG is relating to land acquisition, stakeholder relationship, and then employment and remuneration of employees. Then environmental ESG may be relating to minimization of waste and disposal of waste, GHG emissions and pollution control, biodiversity, energy consumption. So now this concept of PPP has changed. Earlier PPP was a profit, profit, and profit. And now the PPP concept is profit, people, and planet. So there is a growing need for ESG compliance considering the requirement of investors, statutory bodies. So also we get a good valuation in M&A transaction if we are ESG compliant. So there are certain equator principles, which is a risk management framework, which generally being evaluated by the investors. So where the cost of capital of funding will also reduce. So there is some BRSR reporting also now for top 100 listed companies in India. So there are a lot of SEBI requirements also.
So as a corporate governance expert, what values do you bring to the table?
Yeah, so recently I have been certified as independent director under the aegis of Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Government of India, and also a certificate from Directors Institute. Also, I have the qualifications and experience in corporate governance and ESG through Directors Institute, coupled with the rich experience of over 3 decades in the infrastructure industry, with wide exposure to all functions. So my ambition is to add value to corporate governance standards of the company, which I work in a CXO role and or it could be an executive or non-executive directorship role with leading infrastructure or investor companies.
So what are some of the most remarkable changes you have seen in your field with changes in technology? As you know, it's been changing since the time
Yeah,
you started to now. So many things have changed.
correct, correct. So one of the major changes is electronic toll collection in case of highways. So we, as you know, earlier the toll was manual, with now ETC being mandated. So a lot of efforts have gone into that, and now 98%, more than 98% of the revenue which is collected at toll plazas is through electronic toll collection. So which is all electronic transfer. UPI also one of the modes of the payment which is there. So that also has been very effective. So now future they are migrating to satellite-based toll collections. So that also will become a reality soon. So some pilot projects are already been taken up by ministry. So then these all toll plazas over a period of next 5 to 10 years will be removed and completely will, especially they'll start with expressways first and then with the other toll plazas also in India. So second thing is drones also. So drones also they help in monitoring of the project and a lot of other things. Then you have this BIM technology which they use, building information model. Then there are certain data collection apps. So like that, there are various changes which are coming in technology, and with utilization of that, you can optimize your time, cost of the project. A lot of efficiencies you get.
So we're building a community here of industry magnates. The move is meant for cross-pollination of knowledge and building a knowledge-sharing community of corporate giants and industry experts. What are your thoughts about this initiative taken by Mr. Zishan Pathan, Mr. Hemal Mehta, and the whole World Development Corporation team?
No, I would say it is a great initiative taken by WDC, and there are very few formal education I have seen on latest trend in corporate governance and ESG, especially with the opportunity to interact with industry experts, live boardrooms, and all other initiatives what currently they have been taking. So these initiatives taken by Mr. Zishan Pathan and Heval Mehta are commendable, and I think it will go a long way. And uh, as per the survey, there are the independent number of independent directors required in the country. They are much more than what are available. So there is a huge gap in that. So we need such more formal education, which is more practical based kind of thing. So I think it's a very great initiative.
Great, sir. It was fantastic conversing with you, and I'm confident that your insights will truly inspire future leaders. Thank you so much for joining us today and wish you the best for your future endeavors. Moreover, trust that this initiative by Directors Institute unquestionably has expanded the participants' understanding and enriched their mind. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. Thank
Have a
you.
great day.
Yeah, thank you.